Hey friends, welcome back to my channel. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. Apologies that I've got a bit of a croaky voice in this video. I'm just getting over a bit of a sore throat at the moment. I'm fine otherwise. It's not COVID or any of that nonsense, just a bit of a sore throat. It'll go away shortly, so I'm not worried about that. I just wanted to get this video out of the way anyway, because I've got other bits keeping me busy during the month, so it'd be nice to get this done and dusted. And yeah, I've had a busy month. I've been out and about to a few places. I've seen a musical, and I've been watching various bits and pieces at home, of course, and listening to a couple of new albums that I've bought too. So yeah, there's various bits and pieces to mention as always. None of it's sponsored or gifted, and there's lots more detail in the blog posts to go with this video, plural, because I've written not just a favourites post, but also a few other posts about specific things. So there's plenty for you to read this month if you wish to do so. So yeah, I'm just going to crack straight on with it really. And of course, the first thing to mention is the big royal event of the month, which was the coronation, which gave us an extra bank holiday, which was lovely. So I was actually working on Coronation Day with Emily Davison, because I'm a support worker for the journalistic work she does with Newsquest. She was out and about during the day in South East London. She went to a screening in Bromley where she spoke to the mayor and a guy from a local historical society. And she went to a street party as well and spoke to one of the adults there, and also got lovely pictures of the kids playing and stuff like that. She had a couple of colleagues back in the office as well who were doing like a live blog throughout the day, and I was kind of helping to kind of look up stuff on social media and just kind of feed that back into the mix. So they were grateful for my assistance, I think, which is lovely. I've been getting on very well with everyone there. So I wasn't really paying much attention to the coronation itself during the day. I was kind of keeping an eye on the BBC website and watching little clips of the key events as the day progressed, but I wasn't really paying full attention because of the work I was doing. But I did record the accessible commentary version of the coverage on the BBC's Red Button, because the RNIB had worked with the BBC and ITV to make sure the coverage was accessible. So the BBC had an accessible commentary, which I'll explain in a moment, and ITV had audio description on their main broadcast. And there was a sign language version on the BBC as well. Or you could watch it without commentary at all if you wanted, or just have the regular commentary on BBC One. All sorts of options going on, which was great. But yeah, I recorded the accessible commentary, and my mother and I kind of watched it in steps during the week. As we had our dinners, we watched a little bit each day, which was kind of a nice way of going through it. Mum had already listened to it on the radio on the day itself, but she actually found the accessible commentary was much more informative. And the accessible commentary was presented by two people, Petroc Trelawney from Radio 3, who's a presenter on there, and then a military expert called Lincoln Jopp. And the two of them really did give us a lot of great coverage. Lincoln Jopp, with his military experience, was able to give us great insights into like the different guards and processions and things like that we saw during the day. And Petroc Trelawney was able to talk about the music and just other things that were going on in general. So it was a great collaboration between the two of them. It worked really well. So yeah, we really enjoyed that. They really kind of brought it all to life and helped us to really fully understand and engage with what was going on. And yeah, the events of the day itself were just very nice to witness, especially with the accessible commentary, as I say. But the ceremony in Westminster Abbey was very nicely done. I'm not religious, so all the prayers and things kind of go over my head a bit and sound a bit repetitive, but I respect the fact that those traditions are in place. And the choir sounded amazing when they were singing, as you'd expect in such an iconic venue. And it was all very professionally done, of course, as you'd expect. All the clothing and the props and everything they used, were all really impressive, including that sword that Penny Mordaunt was holding for hours. So yeah, it was really nice to witness that. And likewise, the processions were all very nicely choreographed. They looked really impressive, and seeing all the guards lined up in the garden of Buckingham Palace when they were being inspected, that was really nice. And then seeing the royal family on the balcony, of course, and watching the fly past. It's a shame that had to be scaled back quite so much, but at least we got to see the red arrows. They're always lovely to see. So yeah, it was just a lovely day all in all. Despite the weather, it is a shame that it rained. It's been lovely since then. Typical British weather, isn't it? But yeah, despite the rain, so many people turned out and it just went so well. And even if I hadn't been working on that day, I still wouldn't have gone into central London to have a look at things on the day, because it would have been far too busy, far too crowded. I wouldn't have seen anything. I wouldn't have felt safe really in such huge crowds. So it was much easier and safer to stay at home and watch it anyway. But I did go out a few days later and I saw some of the decorations in Oxford Street. They had flags, Union Jacks across the street and crowns on the bus stops. And I've seen the flags in the Mall, the Union Jack flags in the Mall. That looks nice too. So yeah, I've kind of seen a few coronation related things, but most of it I watched at home, which was really nice. I didn't bother watching the coronation concert though, because most of the artists in that just didn't interest me. I looked online and watched a clip of Lionel Richie performing. He was okay. And I saw Prince William's speech, but that was it. I wasn't bothered about the rest of it. But then I have been out and about on quieter days to see other bits and pieces. So one of the things I went to was the BBC Earth experience in Earl's Court, which is an immersive experience with huge floor-to-ceiling screens showing nature footage from all over the world, all the 7 continents of the world, with David Attenborough narrating it. So it's really beautiful to watch. If you watch the whole of the main feature in the big central gallery space, it's about 45 minutes. So I did get absorbed in that and just watch the whole lot. And I had audio description as well via a headset that I picked up at reception, and that was really useful too. made it feel even more immersive because I really fully understood what I was looking at. And there are little rooms off to the side as well, one which is about life underwater, one which is about creepy crawlies. There's a balcony where you can kind of watch the camera flying over different landscapes, and there's a little room at the end about the importance of looking after the earth and stuff. So it's all really nicely done, and there is a whole blog post just about that experience, so I'll link to that in the description below. And then I went to the theatre this month to see Phantom of the Opera at long last, which has been on my bucket list of shows to see for a long time. I did try and book it a few years ago, but it got cancelled by lockdown, of course, so I was limited to watching it online, which was lovely, but I still really much wanted to see it in person, and I'm glad I did at last because it is amazing. You do have to see it in person to really get the full experience. And we had a touch tour as well beforehand, so we got to see a few costumes and various props and things, which was really cool. And then we had audio description during the show itself, which really helped. And yeah, I had a front row seat too, so I got a perfect view. I was pretty much central, and it is just an amazing spectacle. The songs are fantastic, the performances are wonderful, the staging is really impressive as well. You know, we weren't able to go on the stage for the touch tour. We had it in a little room off to the side because it's such a technically complex show that it takes them 3 hours to set it up. So you can kind of imagine how much they've got to do given that time span. So yeah, it's really well put together. Everything works like clockwork really, and it's just really impressive. And obviously the chandelier is as big a star of the show as the actors on the stage. Even a lot of people who haven't seen Phantom of the Opera know what the chandelier does, but I'm not going to spoil it if you don't know, because if you don't know, then it makes for a wonderful surprise a couple of times during the show. But it did look really impressive when it did its thing, let's put it like that. So yeah, thoroughly enjoyed that show, really glad I saw that, and there's a whole blog post about my experience seeing that too. And then another big event that took place this month was the Royal Horticultural Society's Chelsea Flower Show, which I didn't go and see, but local businesses in the Chelsea and Belgravia districts put up displays to coincide with it and on a theme. So all the businesses in Chelsea that took part had the theme of films, so there were various characters from films and things like that. And then in Belgravia they had a very nature-based theme called Into the Wild, so you had various different animals in there. And I spent a day looking around a lot of those different displays with my friend Emily, who I work with. This wasn't a work-related thing, this was just a social outing for the two of us. We just wanted to go and have a look at it. And yeah, we had a lovely time looking around all the different displays. You know, there's things like King Kong climbing up Big Ben and Black Beauty and The Lion King and all sorts of other bits and pieces to do with film. And then in terms of animals, there was like an owl and giraffes and an elephant and peacocks and seahorses and all sorts of bits and pieces. So it was really impressive looking at a lot of that stuff. I mean, the maps were awful, you know, whether in paper form or on the websites for these different displays. We really struggled with them because they didn't give us the information we needed in terms of where exactly to find things, and some things were in different places in the website said and all this kind of thing. So we did get a bit frustrated, but you know, we did manage to figure things out, especially thanks to the help of Emily's mum, who Emily rang on a few occasions to get her advice because she had already been to the displays earlier in the week. So yeah, it was difficult to kind of find things, but yeah, we did get around and we did see an awful lot in the hours that we were out, and we did have a lovely time. It was a beautiful sunny day as well. So yeah, it was well worth exploring all those different displays despite the difficulties in finding some of them. It was well worth hunting them down. And there is a gallery post in my blog where you can see a lot of the photos that I took during the day, because as you imagine, we took hundreds between us. And then talking of socialising, I also met up with my good friend Claire again, and we had a nice afternoon together at the Wallace Collection looking at the Portraits of Dogs exhibition, which is exactly as it sounds. There's lots of paintings of dogs and one or two taxidermy models and things like that, but mainly portraits. And it was nice. I mean, you know, there's some nice detail in the paintings and stuff, and there was a very useful large print guide, so definite props to them for that. That really helped. But I think overall, you know, we weren't necessarily hugely impressed by it. You know, there was nice stuff, but nothing hugely exciting or memorable. We didn't really learn anything interesting, and it just felt a bit short despite the fact there were a few rooms to go through. So we're glad we paid the concessionary rate. We wouldn't have paid the full price for it. But as I say, the large print guide was useful, and it was a nice afternoon together nonetheless. So yeah, it was good. It was just not something I'd rave about. So moving on to bits and pieces of entertainment that I've been enjoying at home, and there are a few things that I've been watching that I can whip through fairly quickly. I saw a movie this month called Ready or Not, which is a comedy horror film from 2019 that Emily recommended to me. And this is basically about a young lady who gets married into this huge family and goes back to their huge house. And it turns out that they like to play like a little initiation game to kind of welcome new members into the family. And it turns out the game that she chooses is hide and seek, which is all well and good. But the one thing her husband wasn't able to tell her is that the family are Satan worshippers. So basically this is a deadly game of hide and seek where they have to hunt her down and kill her so they can perform a satanic ritual. So she naturally obviously has to try and escape when she discovers that. And it's good fun because there's plenty of humour in there and action and stuff and various twists along the way. So yeah, I enjoyed watching that. It was good. And then if you saw last month's video or blog post, you'll remember that I saw Russell Howard live at the London Palladium. And so this month I decided to watch all of his old stand-up DVDs and Netflix specials, including his old old Good News DVDs as well from the BBC show we used to do. So it's nice to go for them again, and I've written a blog post reviewing all of those too if you want to have a look through that. And I've also watched some of the full episodes of Russell Howard's Good News that are on his YouTube channel as well, because I missed that show. I know he does the Russell Howard Hour on Sky as well, which is very similar in many ways, but I'm not into that quite so much because there are segments and guests on there that don't appeal to me very much. So I tend to watch just the monologues and occasional interviews that are on his YouTube channel instead, rather than full episodes. Good News was a better show. I preferred watching that. But yeah, it was nice to watch all his old DVDs again and his Netflix specials, as I say. He's always very funny. And then on Channel 4, we have, of course, just had the finale of the latest series of Taskmaster, which has been very good as usual. The contestants this time haven't been people that I'm huge fans of outside the show. I mean, I liked Frankie Boyle on What the Week, but I was never into his solo stuff beyond that. And the other people, a couple of them I had heard of, a couple of them I hadn't. So yeah, I'm not bothered about checking out any of their other stuff away from the show. But on the show, they were all good. Of the people I didn't know, Mae Martin was the one that grabbed me the most, impressed me the most. And I'm glad she won it because she was very creative with some of the tasks. She thought about them carefully and she was just good fun. But they're all good. It was a very enjoyable series. They also had a new episode of the Big Fat Quiz this month, which was a bit of a surprise. And it was on a sporting theme this time, and it just didn't work quite so well, to be honest. You know, the selection of panellists wasn't very good. A couple of them were quite irritating, really. And none of them really knew much about the subjects. So there just wasn't really much in the way of great comedy there. So it just felt a bit pointless at the end of the day, really. You know, one or two amusing moments, of course, but nothing really exciting. So it's not an episode I'd watch again particularly. But then, of course, I can't talk about TV without addressing the big shocking news of the month. And I don't mean a certain daytime TV scandal. I'm not getting into that, don't worry. I'm talking about the collapse of DVD and Blu-ray Distributors Network, which is a great shame because they really were passionate and dedicated in digging out archive shows and licensing them and releasing them, often remastering them as well, you know, going to great lengths to remaster shows and add extra features. You know, you get extra features on the DVDs, but also really detailed books with some releases as well, going into extraordinary levels of detail about how the show was made. So they did put a lot of effort into it. They were really genuinely passionate about it. I've got several releases from them in my collection, and if you collect old TV DVDs, you know, even if you don't realise it, you may have several network titles in there. My favourite releases are the big box set from Monty Python for their 50th anniversary, which they fully remastered. It was all uncut and had various extra features as well. And they also did brilliant remasters of The Professionals and The Sweeney that I've got as well. But I've also got various other things as well. I've listed them in the blog post if you're interested to see. But there's things like the Kenny Everett Video Show and The Piglet Files, a rare sitcom starring Nicholas Lyndhurst that a lot of people had never heard of. I hadn't until it came out. Ever Decreasing Circles, that is a classic well-known sitcom starring Richard Bryars, and Saturday Live and Friday Night Live, you know, the entertainment variety shows, and The Tube, Series 1, the best of that, and various other bits and pieces. You know, they did release a lot of good stuff, so it's a real shame they've gone under. And I do feel really sorry for the employees as well, because I know how hard they worked. So yeah, farewell network. Thank you for everything you did for us. And then just to quickly mention a couple of albums as well that have come out this past month that I bought. Kerry Ellis has a new album out called Kings and Queens. She's an amazing singer and is here as well. She's done another classy release with some really lovely songs. The opening title track, Kings and Queens, is nice and catchy and uplifting. Battlefield features Brian May and is really beautiful. And other tracks I like include The Only One, My All, Love Wins and Home Again. But all the tracks are nice. So yeah, it's another nice album by Kerry there. And then the other album I bought was Drastic Symphonies by Def Leppard. And this is a bit unusual for them because they've teamed up with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra to record new arrangements of many of their biggest hits and also a few deep cuts as well that are lesser known. And it's a really good album. You know, Def Leppard are a powerful band anyway, so adding the weight of the mighty Royal Philharmonic Orchestra behind them is only going to improve that further. So they've changed the arrangements of the song slightly to allow the orchestra to kind of breathe and add their own bit of a spice to things, and it all works really well on the whole. I like their interpretations of Animal, Hysteria, Have You Ever Needed Someone So Bad, When Love and Hate Collide, Kings of the World, and the instrumental Switch 625 is really impressive as well. The only weak spot for me and for many other people, not everyone, it's a bit controversial this, is Pour Some Sugar on Me, which just doesn't really work in the new interpretation they've given it. It's just become this kind of ballad type duet really, and it just doesn't feel right, especially with the nature of the lyrics and also with the melody they've used to sing the song in as well. It just doesn't feel right, but otherwise the rest of the album is pretty good. And that's it. That's all I have to mention for this month, so I hope you enjoyed watching that and found various bits and pieces of interest in there. I've got a couple of interesting bits and pieces planned for June already, and there'll be other things that pop up, I'm sure. So yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what this month has in store. I hope you have a lovely month too, and I hope the weather enables you to get out and do lots of nice things. It should be quite nice, fingers crossed. And yeah, that's all I have to say really. So thank you very much for watching that. As always, don't forget to like, comment and subscribe as per usual. And I will see you for another video very soon. Bye for now.